kill! Penta for double! Penta-kill, double in!
Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves! What was that?
Yeah! Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Riff Rant, your weekly dose of esports. I'm your host, Leonyx.
And I'm Moon, and today we have a very special guest, Alex Xpecial of Team Liquid.
Very Xpecial guest, actually.
Wow, I thought I was going to make that kind of joke. You ended up making that kind of joke.
Yeah, today's a very special episode because we're not at HyperX, as usual. We're actually at Team Liquid House. So
Little Piglet
take it all in. I guess we're just going to start off. Xpecial, please tell me about your entryway into esports. Ignore the first couple teams. I guess they're not completely relevant, but your entryway into Team Solo Mid and getting into the serious environment.
It's a long story. So, I mean, I played on two kind of amateur teams before Team Solo Mid. Not really too well known. This is way back 2010, 2011. I was like super young. So anyways, those don't really count too much. But yeah, Team Solo Mid, first team they invited me. I was going to play AD carry for them actually.
Oh yeah.
This is back then when AD carries usually go top. So I hated going top. Top lane was my least favorite role. I didn't like that. So I wanted to play mid, but obviously Reggie played mid, so I couldn't play mid there. And then wanted to play bot lane, and then I ended up playing what was called roaming back then, and now it's transitioned to support. So I ended up playing that. But yeah, that was the first time we really got together and we won a lot of tournaments back then, and we ended up having a team house and sort of got really popular as a team and did really well internationally and regionally. So that was pretty fun.
How did you meet Reginald and I guess this formation of Team Solo Mid? I know that Rayman used to be part of TSM. Was it just kind of like, oh, 5 friends, we're gonna just do this together, and then it's just started turning serious? Like, what was the initial reaction from working from that traditional life to the esports life? Like, your parents, family, I'm sure like you had other expectations of growing up, right, at that time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of questions right there, but
Yeah.
first, well, TSM was only made about a month before I joined, and they had a different roster. They had like, I think it was Chaox. I think Reggie wasn't even on the team at that point. It was TheOddOne, had Loco Doco. I think St. Vicious. I'm not even sure anymore, but the roster was really, really weird. And ended up happening, like, some of the members had to leave. Someone couldn't play in the regionals because, for example, Loco was Korean nationality, so he couldn't play. Or he was from Korea, or something weird.
That wasn't allowed back then?
Well, I mean, I think you had to be from NA to play in the NA regionals, so that was kind of what it was. And yeah, they ended up having to make a new team. Ended up being myself. We were trying out Rayman and Westrice, and up went with Rayman. We had Reggie, mid, TheOddOne, and had Chaox. So that was the roster back then. Shoot, hit me with other questions.
Yeah. How did like that transition? How was that like? Becoming a casual player and then becoming a team, I guess. How was the family life like?
Okay. So we were all, everyone played solo queue back then. Everyone still does, but that's how you really met each other, because it's the same way nowadays. All the high elo players, all the really high ranked players, you play with each other really frequently. And because solo queue was the only thing that you could play, there wasn't really that much, there weren't many scrims. All the good players are just constantly spamming solo queue. So you always see each other, you recognize who's good, and pretty much I played on a different team back then, and I was kind of known for that, and then I was good in solo queue as well. So Reggie was like, hey man, you want to play for our team? Back then, Reggie actually had a really bad rep.
Back then?
Back
Just kidding.
Well, yeah, he was known as a rager, and then he also had the situation with WCG back then, where he got TheOddOne and like a couple people got banned from WCG, 2010, I believe. And
What specifically happened that caused that?
It's a long story, but long story short, it was just the Hotshots account got hacked, and they ended up playing a game with the hacker, just like laughing about it and just making jokes, and then Riot gave him, or I think it's WCG, or yeah, WCG gave him a ban. Like TheOddOne got
Account
banned.
sharing kind of thing?
No, it was just sort of like a guilty by association sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
You shouldn't be playing with a guy that just hacked some other guy's account sort of thing. So they got banned from WCG that year. And yeah, so yeah, he had a bad rep, and a lot of people were like, well, a lot of my friends were like, you probably shouldn't go for it. But then for me, it was like, it was a good opportunity. We really want to see how things go, and they were a good team back then. My team, DefileOdds, we were top 4 in NA. They were top 2. So, and my team was like, they weren't doing so hot, and I wanted to be really good. I want to be like the best team. So I decided to go for it.
How did your family react to you wanting to become like a professional gamer? Were they supportive?
It was a very gradual thing. I was still in college. It was like in March or May of my freshman year of college when I joined TSM, and we played in some tournaments between then and summer was finally okay, there was regionals, and then there was the playoffs, which were in, or not playoffs, the World Championships, which were in, I forget, it's like Sweden, and it's all these names. I think it was Jönköping, Sweden. I don't know. It's some weird name. So anyways, we played in Sweden, and I mean, obviously, I flew there to my parents. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to this place. They're like, don't get kidnapped. I was like,
don't
yes,
die.
Mom. Like this is a legit thing. I'm not, getting kidnapped. Like, I had to reassure them about that. The show, I'm like, oh, League of Legends. It's a game. Like, they have a website.
Kind of like chess. You have to explain it to parents.
So
this is real.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's how everybody reacts. It's like, well, you're going on a free trip to Europe. They're paying for your trip. It's free. Are you sure you're not getting scammed? Yeah. So yeah, that was the reaction initially. But yeah, I went to that tournament, and then afterwards we had Cologne, Germany, for the IEM.
And this is back on the timeline of like DreamHack and
DreamHack, okay. Cologne. I think after that was, I forgot which tournament it was. It might have been Cologne, where right before that, when we were in Cologne, right announced to season 2, and it was a $5 million prize pool, and that was when Reggie was like, it was funny because the day before that we were actually talking about Gaming House, and it was that moment, the moment that they announced $5 million prize pool, everyone was like, this is like big, this is this is the next thing, and Reggie was like, let's do Gaming House, and after we lost, we were all super sad, but the next step was kind of trying to convince everybody to do Gaming House. I think it might have been Hanover where we finally put anything into place, and yeah, we just had a Gaming House. We were like, man, it was the funniest thing, now that I think about it, is that TheOddOne was the most against it. He had 1 semester left from finishing college, and he was like, I don't know about this, guys. Like, I want to finish college, but we pretty much had to be like, TheOddOne, this is like a good opportunity. Like, it's funny because if you ask him nowadays, he'd be like, best decision of his life probably. But back then he was the only one that was against it.
He was the rational thinker, right, at that time.
Yeah, but it's funny when you think about it, because his popularity grew so much and he benefited so much from the Game House. But back then he was the one that was most against it. I was like, man, like school was kind of boring for me. I was a physics major and I was getting bored of physics. I was gonna switch majors regardless, and I decided, hey, I'll take a break for a year. Let's see how things go. And yeah, I ended up doing this for a while, but I was like pretty for it. Everyone else was pretty for it, and the TheOddOne was just like, guys, like I don't want to do it. And then we were like deciding, like, do we go do it without him? Like, what do we do? Do we just not do it? And we finally convinced him. But yeah, like it worked out really well for us.
Was there a secondary pick for TheOddOne, even if he was just like, yep, I'm out?
I'm sure there was in people's minds, but ideally we wanted to convince him because he was really good. And we wanted to keep him. I mean, obviously we didn't want to lose like a top player, so yeah, we wanted to keep him for sure. But if he didn't go with it, I think we would have to find someone else.
So fast forward a couple years, I guess, well, a year from that time, the first like exodus for the TSM roster of the famous roster, Chaox leaving.
Yeah.
I know that you've come to a lot of success with TSM winning a lot of in the open circuit tournament, but that was captured on a documentary, Game Cribs, with GameSpot. But like, what was the atmosphere in the house at that time? From my understanding, like researching back, it was 5 friends doing what they love, big streamers, making a name for themselves in the community, and then when that happened, it kind of shifted the atmosphere a little bit, right? Am I nailing it on the head there, or?
Kinda. I mean, more or less, we wanted a more serious environment, and I think what happened was, back then, teams weren't really that serious, honestly. We were probably the most serious team. We would scrim more than most teams. We had a gaming house. We would practice, talk about strategy a lot more than the other teams. And what Reggie and a lot of the rest of the team just couldn't really handle was Chaox kind of branching out from that. He wanted to have more fun. And that was where we started to diverge. Everyone else was like, all right, let's get more serious. But he was kind of in it for the fun. And that kind of accumulated at that tournament at MLG Dallas, I believe it was. And he went out partying. He didn't think it was that big of a deal. And then the day afterwards, he was like talking to a fangirl before our match. It got really complicated. And then
Oh boy.
we won. Like, yeah, that's great. But ideally, we want to get better. And for me and for me especially, I don't like the idea of just a win's a win. Yes, I agree. That's a short term, but long term, you have to think about how we're practicing, how much are we getting out of it. Like, was that a good win, a solid win? Is this something that I can look back and be like, all right, this is a good win. How do we get better from here? So that sort of thing. So it's always about getting better, not so much about winning or losing. Yes, it's important, but the goal is not to win this specific game. The goal is to win Worlds. And to do so, you can't just look at this one game and be like, we won, that's it, go home. It's about what could we have done better and how and what should we do from here.
So Turtle comes onto the roster at that time. Now, I like to make this analogy at the time when TSM is kind of becoming this more even a step tier above the serious team. I kind of think of Reggie is this Rick Grimes character from The Walking Dead. It's Reggie dictatorship right then and there. Is that true, or how was that like? Was he just kind of this leader that was just, oh, we're gonna do this and it's my way or the highway, or was it kind of a democracy at that time, or when was it he became a serious player? Was it when Bjerg came over?
I think when Bjergson finally came over, that was when he really took a step past a democracy. He wouldn't really ask us as much. He'd just be like, all right, this is how I want things to be done.
Previous or now? Or not now, afterwards?
After Bjergson came on.
Oh,
that was because when he left the team and he decided to be a full-time owner. When he was on the team, he was a lot more like, hey, what do you guys want to do? What's your opinion on this? A lot more about that.
That's
but
good.
I mean, once you step away from it and you're kind of a third party, you have a lot more voice and you don't really care so much about what other people think about you because it's your team now. And yes, it was his team before as well, but because we were kind of friends for so long, he would often ask us for our opinions. And yeah, once Bjergson came in and he really stepped back down to an owner role, he became a lot more strict. And I think it's for the better. I mean, as the team owner, you have a lot more power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During this time, Bjerg becomes this amazing powerhouse in NA. How was it playing with him initially? I know that he is kind of established now over the year that he's been playing in NA.
He wasn't at first.
But he wasn't at first. Was he this dominant shot caller? He just came in and just filled the role that Reginald's void, I guess? Or was it you? Or how did that kind of work out in success for TSM?
It was really hard for us. The first split that we had was the first split that C9 came in, I believe.
Oh, rough.
Was it?
I think it was right after. Yeah, it was right after.
Oh, okay. So
because they do this 3 and 20, ridiculous standing for that first split.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think about this. So, okay. So the first split, we did win that split, and it was the split that so we had Bjergson. Okay, so pretty much what happened was Bjergson had to go back to his visa, and
I remember that.
Yeah, that was that split. Okay, so he was doing really well in scrims. We were like, all right, we're picking up this new guy. We're gonna have some, not perfect synergy and whatnot. But he was a really good player. He was really aggressive. Pretty much always won lane, and we kind of just won the game off him winning lane. And oftentimes I felt like, all right, I just kind of sat bot lane and didn't do anything. And that's it was kind of how I felt.
It's good though. I mean,
it's
doing
good
his job.
It's good and bad. It's good in that yes, he's carrying, but it's bad in that we don't learn how to play as a team. It was just pretty much. If you stop mid that hard, the rest of your lanes have to just go even. They can even lose slightly, and you would still win because mid has so much pressure at that point. He can just go make plays in their jungle, top, mid, dragon. Everything was so easy. And what happened when Cloud9 came in was that Bjergson couldn't win mid as hard. That was issue number one. The second reason is that because Cloud9 wasn't so focused on laning. They would just outplay us.
Objectively?
Yeah, objectively. Like, we didn't know how to ward well. Like, we didn't have a coach. We didn't have anybody being like, hey, this is how you're actually supposed to play a game. Because the game had been changing so much, warding became infinitely more important as the season's gone on. And you can even see that in Season 5. Warding is pretty much the sole reason.
There are ward wars. Like
yeah, like the best team and the worst team, one of the biggest reasons is warding. Whoever wards better kind of wins. And yeah, like Season 4, Season 3 was really the first time we really saw that with Cloud9. They're the first teams to really get warding down.
I know that this has been brought up in the community since the ever introduction of trinkets. A support has never been #1 in a region. What's your thoughts on that? Is it just like support role is all utility at that point? How does has it lessened the support role, or what would you have changed to like better the role for yourself?
I don't know. That's a hard thing to really analyze. There's a lot of factors involved, of course, but obviously supports can't carry as hard. That's one big thing. And I mean, if I think about it, I would probably name supports are probably getting played. I mean, people are getting better at support, but at the same time, people who don't really play support as much are watching people play support, and they're able to mimic that to a certain level, to a certain extent. And there are no supports that are definite OPs, and that makes it harder for supports to, like, for example, first pick a support and be like, all right, I'm 100% confident that I will be able to smash this guy because the champions. Like, I mean, even with Janna, right? Like, she is strong in lane. She has like pretty much no bad matchups, but her problem is she has trouble carrying because she doesn't do damage. So unlike Thresh or like champions that you could just buy AP on, like a lot of these champions and a lot of these sports play nowadays are more utility based, and that's a big reason. But I think the biggest reason is, again, like just the supports being played. If you first pick a support, you can't be comfortable 100% that you can carry this game. For example, before you pick Thresh, 100% you're gonna win the game, pretty much guaranteed. If you're playing against a non-support main and you're playing Thresh, I'm gonna shun this guy. He's gonna get crapped on.
Thresh is insane.
Yeah, but nowadays you have people who can play Morgana, and Morgana is a lot easier to play than Thresh. And so like a non-support main could probably just, maybe die once or twice in lane, but beyond that, you can't really kill him that much on Thresh. So it's just a lot harder for supports to carry because of the way the game is changing. Is that good or bad? I don't really know. I mean, like, if a support is rank 1, that's kind of weird for me. It's like a carry role has higher chance of winning, so they naturally, just the way statistics work, they should be rank 1.
Yeah.
So strict schedule comes in with TSM, and you actually part ways and go to Curse, well, Team Liquid now. How has that transition been? Why? I know that you've talked about in previous interviews, but I kind of want to get this in depth. Like, where you see the you see the success with TSM. Didn't you personally value that and was just like, okay, maybe I'll just adapt my personality to the team. I can keep this brand alive, for yourself. But why like the sudden change at that point?
There's a lot of reasons. I was really discontent with how things were. The big reason was just that we had our owner, we had Reggie. He was kind of our coach, but he wasn't there a lot for us, and oftentimes we would be lost. When we play against Cloud9 in scrims, even LCS, we'd be like, we don't know what the heck went wrong. And
that's the worst. When you don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, you don't know what went wrong, and we had nobody like being like, all right, this is what you have to do. And sometimes Reggie would come in and be like, oh yeah, like, just do this, but 99% of the time, we didn't know what to do. And I didn't see it now. I saw us losing the summer, and I didn't see any way for us to do anything. I was just so frustrated. And I told my team that. I pretty much said, we're not going to win Worlds. We're not going to go to Worlds. Like, we're not going to win regionals like playing like this. And I think at that point, they actually brought in Lokodoko. This is after I left, so I had no idea. But I really wanted to coach. I knew Curse had a coach. I wanted to have a structure. I wanted to have a team that, all right, like, even if we aren't the best, we know how to be the best. And that's the kind of thing I wanted. And that's something I brought up to Reggie for like seasons, actually. But it's hard to find a coach. It really is. And TSM got really lucky. They got Lokodoko. They actually did really well, and I'm really happy for them. But when I left, I was unhappy with the situation, and I was really fine with it. And I mean, obviously, they're more successful now, and that kind of sucks. But
do you regret it, seeing that like right after you left, the change that you actually wanted like came in?
I mean, I could have known that. So I made the best decision at that time. And yeah, sure, maybe I messed up and that I shouldn't have, leaked like that I got benched. But I was so frustrated. I felt like, I felt like I got benched for reasons that I couldn't really control.
Like outside of gameplay sort of things? Yeah,
I was cited for gameplay reasons as well at that point, and I was cited for personality reasons. But in the end, I just wanted to win really bad, and I didn't feel like my team was on the same page as me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like people were like, all right, like we have to win, but we don't have the structure to do so. We don't know what to do, and I was like at a dead end, and I wanted a way out. That's pretty much what happened.
Okay, so in recent news, I guess, you've played with a lot of ADs.
So many ADs. Back and forth.
But I guess we'll go back a little bit on the timeline, because I saw a Reflections, I guess a Gorilla interview with you, and you talked about all these different ADs that you could have played with in the past, or you could have maybe molded a new AD to fit your playstyle. You said that Altec was like this young upcoming AD that you wanted to mold, or like as possibility. Is that the same for you, or is there another AD? If Piglet and Keith were out of the picture for Team Liquid, and you were still on TSM, or same with Team Liquid, if you could have had to pick like another AD.
Of all the people you know.
Yeah. Is there any upcoming talent that could be that guy? Does Keith kind of like is his personality the one that you fit well with the most, or?
So, first things first, I don't care about personality. That's one of the least things I care about. I care about an attitude that works hard, is mechanically skilled, and is willing to work with a team. I mean, sure, that maybe means that they need to have a good personality, but more importantly, it's these other factors. Like, you have to just be good. If you're good,
just play good.
Yeah, play good. Like, you don't have to be a genius at the game. It's fine if you are. There's bonus points, brownie points, whatever. But I don't really care too much about that. And I just want the best possible player. And that way, if things don't go wrong, then either I know or he knows, and then we fix it. And I don't need a plug-and-play player. That'd be nice. That'd be perfect. But I'd rather have a player who I know is good, and I know that if we can get that synergy together, then we'll be great.
Is there anyone that...
Yeah, right now, I don't know if there's any player, especially in NA, that hasn't really been known yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, Altec back then, he was kind of like, I was like, this guy's a solid player. I don't know how smart he is, but good mechanics, it's kind of all I needed. And Keith, kind of similar to that. He's not as mechanically skilled. He's really good in team fights, don't get me wrong, but his laning, bit stuff to work on. But he's a player that I know that if he worked really hard, and he could be really good. But right now he's in school, can't work as hard as other players, and I know that's going to affect players moving forward. It's just, if you don't play the game as much as other players, and you're on a role that's mechanically demanding, that's not going to be good.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when Piglet was announced to be your AD carry in the bot lane, I did a lot of speculation of like, okay, this could be really good. I know that there's an English barrier, like, right? For that, did you guys get along right away? I thought just if you were two of the best, of your roles at the time.
And not only that, but he's very serious and takes it very seriously as you do, and that's like your thing. So did that synergy go really well with that?
Is that just intuition? I know that you guys had maybe a little slight hiccups at the beginning of this split, but you've progressively molded together and grown together to be really good. How was that transition like? I
actually underestimated the language barrier. I thought in some ways that would be easier, in some ways that would be harder. So I thought it'd be easier in that
simple communication.
Yeah, like that simple communication would go a lot further, but that wasn't the case. I think they actually needed to do things that needed to be communicated to a deeper extent, but that got worked out pretty quickly. And the thing I thought would be harder was champions. It's actually really easy. Koreans actually use the same words for like champions. It'd be like, yeah, okay. like if you're like Dana, it's like, oh, Dana, oh, Dana.
That's cool. That's cute.
Yeah, so it's easy for them to name champions and stuff like that. And it only became hard when it came to like nuances with the English language, like backing with like basing. Like those are things that get kind of confusing. It's like, oh, he's backing. Oh, he's going home. Oh, he's basing. Like these are all things that are kind of similar in English, but when you try to explain to someone that doesn't speak English, it gets a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're getting a lot better as a duel and as a team, but there's still a long way to go. I'm really happy with how we're progressing, but I wish it was a little bit faster. And the visa thing actually really slowed things down. And I mean, we're pretty much at the end of the playoffs, or end of the spring split, and we're nearing playoffs, and we're doing good as a ball lane, but the team synergy is still lacking, and not too happy about that. But I mean, it's just really how we do at this point.
You guys are under a lot of pressure coming into the playoffs because you're at that point of, oh, do we just sustain our LCS spot, but we want to make the qualification for Worlds right off the bat. What's the pressure like 2-0? Is Dignitas and Winter Fox kind of an easier schedule for you guys? What's the expectations? What can we expect from Xpecial and Team Liquid?
It's such a hard thing to want to point out. I mean, obviously, we want to go 2-0. That's without a doubt, 100% we want that. But we actually lost both these teams previously, and it's kind of embarrassing. Like, these are the 8th and 9th place teams that we lost to. I think we're 1-1 against pretty much every single team in the league, except for Coast and CLG and C9. C9 who we went 0-2 against, LG2 where we 2-0'd. So it's one of those, we should win, and we're expected to win, but if we lose, it'll suck.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so actually when we played against Coast, I was like, we just have to win. I didn't even feel good about the win. So it was a win that we were supposed to win. Like, no offense to Coast, but they had 2 subs. They're the last place team by a fairly large margin. We had to win those games, but I can't feel good about those games. I'm like, no, we smashed Coast. Like, we're so good.
No one wanted to talk about it. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk about the Coast
I was just like, all right.
That happened.
We lost this. We got stomped by C9, and then we win against Coast. Like, great. All right, let's go on.
Not a good weekend, really.
No,
no, it isn't.
Yeah, knowing the, I guess, the gravity of, pun intended, right? Gravity of the 2-0 that is needed to make the playoffs. Has that changed a lot of the atmosphere in the team house, or has it been like, okay, we need to take it up a little bit more, or are you just kind of like treating these games as you would now, and just hope for the best in the future of the next split?
Well, thing is, with what's gonna happen, if we 2-0, we will 100% be playing in a tiebreaker, and that doesn't mean much, but it means that we just need to win. And there's a lot of pressure on us, but we've been practicing super hard, and we're just gonna keep practicing super hard, and hopefully things will work out. And we're gonna, like, obviously go through all the picks and bans, do everything that we can to just really increase our chances. But in the end, it's just how do we play on that day, and if we play poorly, then we're gonna lose. And I mean, I hope we play well because we've been working so hard. I've obviously played on a ton of teams, and this is pretty much the hardest I've gone at League Legends for so long, just because the new meta has made things so different. Every time there's a new patch, I'm like, all right, gotta grind this thing out, like figure out these champions, and it's fun. It's honestly really fun when there's a lot of things to try out and a lot of things to test, a lot of things to really adapt to. But at the same time,
Tedious.
if you're putting in so much work, you want things to pay off. You don't want to be the 7th place team and not make the playoffs after we worked so hard and after we had all these ups and downs, and so many downs actually. And it's just, we want things to pay off, and it'd be really, really sad if we don't make it.
About your team, I know that you guys talked about how one of the most difficult things with bringing in a new player is all adjusting your own personal play styles to like have more synergy with him. How has your role changed since, like, with different AD carries on this team?
It's not too hard for me. I know that when I play with Keith, I'm a lot more like, all right, Keith, like, you got to go back here. You know, you got to swap here. We got to do this thing here. But with Piglet, it's a lot less of that. And it's a good and bad thing. Sometimes it's good to remind the player what they should do or what they need to do. But with Keith, I'm like extra prepared. I'm like, all right, you gotta do this, and then you gotta do this, and then make sure you do this.
You're
don't forget.
Him.
Yeah, like don't forget to bring your lunch to school today. Like I have to pretty much make the extra steps to micromanage Keith. With Piglet, I'm like, I give him a bit more room, a bit more freedom. I wouldn't be like, all right, Keith. I wouldn't be like, Piglet, you have to come now. You stop what you're doing, come now. With Keith, I'm like, Keith, come now. Or like Dom be like, Keith, now. Like, and then he'll listen, and he's a lot more of a listener guy.
Okay, yeah, I'll come.
Yeah. Like he'll be like, all right. He'll be like halfway hitting a CS, and he'll just stop hitting the CS and miss the CS and just come down. Like, he'll do that kind of stuff.
Piglet's like, one more wave.
Yeah, Piglet will tell you what he needs, where Keith is gonna be like, all right, I'll do what you need.
Okay.
So that's the difference between those two. But for me, for my bot lane, the difference isn't really there. It's mainly the champions I play. I kind of have more of a champion pool when I play Piglet because I'm more comfortable with the range of champions that he can play as well. So the difference in there. I mean, with Keith, I'm always like, all right, I'm gonna either play something that's safer or something that's more aggressive, so I can actually dictate the lane. I wouldn't want to play something that relies on him too much, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like, for example, I wouldn't want to play like a Nami where it's a lot about the AD carry trading, and I would rather play stuff like a Thresh or a Leon where it's about me going in, or
Engaging.
like, yeah, I'll engage and be like, Keith, follow up, sort of thing.
Okay, I know that this is kind of an off question about ADs and as a support. You've played with a lot of ADs, obviously, we've gone over that, but one that comes to mind, obviously, in NA is Doublelift. You played with him in All-Stars, and going back on that intuition thing of that language barrier, what was it like laning him versus like Piglet? Do all All-Star AD carries kind of like have the same intuition for you? Is it just like, okay, we already on the same page? What's it like laning specifically with him versus obviously the language barrier?
So, like I said earlier, I love mechanical skill. That's the thing I value the most in AD carry, because if you have a mechanically skilled support and mechanically skilled AD carry, you're going to win out these situations if you, in your mind, you're going to win it. And it's just pretty much, if it's a 50-50, you're going to win it because your 50 is better than their 50. It's just like, yeah, sure, the numbers might be like even, but if you're better, you're better. And so Doublelift was one of those players who are like, he's a really good 50%. And when we played together, we were a really solid 50%. And so that made things a lot easier. It'd be like, all right, it's going to be a close fight, but we're going to win it because we're good.
Because we're good. That's
Yeah, and then, but actually things didn't happen like that because he was just really good at laying, so we weren't ever going to be in a 50-50. We were always in like an advantage. We were always like the 60 or the 65. And now it's
85.
it made it really easy to play bot lane when both of us are just really trusting each other, really good players, and it was actually just a easy connection because he's good, I'm good, we speak English, we're constantly talking to each other, and we're like, all right, like, can we win here? It's like, yeah. It's like, all right, let's back off. Or like, you know, we would just talk to each other, anything we need, we would communicate.
I know, rolling back, you actually know Doublelift from a long, long time ago, season 1, and like actually are kind of part of the story of like trying to explain to his parents of like this esports things, right?
Wait, how do you know that?
I just know.
I don't know how
right?
you do that either.
No. Like there's a specific story, right? Like of like him explaining to his parents, oh, this is an esport thing, this is real, right?
And you were like, yeah.
But you are actually the, I don't know, remediator there as well as like, yeah, this is a real thing and allowed like that stepping stone to occur, right?
Yes, that is a long story. So
something
awkward?
to say for next time, right?
I mean, it's one of those things like if I'm ever the best man Doublelift party, I'd be like, man, Doublelift, you remember your mom was calling me? And
oh my god, this is gonna be your speech. Like
yeah. So your mom was calling me. She was like, hey, how's Peter? I'm speaking in Chinese, of course. And then
oh, okay, so that's also a thing.
yeah. So like, hey, so first of all, somehow, okay. So when Doublelift was kicked out from home, his mom took his cell phone, and apparently my number was on the cell phone. I was like one of the last numbers dialed, and she called me. It's like, hi, do you know Peter? I'm like, yeah, I know Peter. It's like, and then yeah, so I had to explain to his mom. I had to tell his mom like where Peter was. This is during the period where
he's with Travis.
He was
already?
with Travis,
Yeah.
yes, and then he had like the whole Reddit thread. It's like, hi, I'm Doublelift. Like,
I have like $2.
Yeah, like I'm a
How's-
like I got kicked out from home. Like I was a player for Epic Gamer, and like saying to his mom, it's like Peter's okay. Like I just like it's like give him some time. Like things will be all right. And I mean, obviously things are a lot better now for them. but then back then it was like, oh my god, like why am I getting a phone call from Doublelift's mom? And so she would call me for like weeks and just keep asking me like, how's Peter? And I'd be like, yeah, she's fine. Like give him updates, and
Wow.
yeah, like I felt like an older brother there, and it kind of was because even when at the first tournament at DreamHack, we were actually on the same play, and we were talking about he had like some girl problems actually.
Yeah, I heard about him in like all of those things.
He has a lot of
The line of League of Honeys, right?
Yeah, like back then he had girl problems. Now he has too many girls. That's a problem.
Oh, okay, so it's like the opposite issue.
Yeah.
He's like, this one girl, she won't come back.
Yeah,
now
that was
like,
back then. Now it's like, yeah, get away from me. So yeah, like it's funny how long we go back, but sometimes I forget. Like this is the same guy that his mom would call me to ask where her son was, and it's funny when I think about it. And I'm gonna bring it up one day.
You have to.
Yeah.
I think the best man speech is by far your best idea.
Yeah, I should.
Okay,
It's good.
so Doublelift being you know, your AD carry. Now with Piglet coming in as a world champion, was that kind of like hype for you? It's like
Everyone had such high expectations.
Yeah,
they were like, oh
high
my gosh, he
expectations.
just won Worlds now. Yeah.
yeah, like what was that like?
I'm a lot more of a now guy. Like I don't really care about how good you were 8 years ago. I don't care how smart you are when you were 3. Like it doesn't matter to me. What matters is how good you are now. And I was actually a bit skeptical. I had seen his performances, and he wasn't doing well with Mandu. And I was like, you know, like, is that the same performance that we're gonna get here? And I was really worried about that. But I was like, what I knew for a fact was that he was a hard worker.
Yeah, work ethic is like
And-
your favorite thing. So I mean.
Yeah, so pretty much in my mind, I was like, all right, this guy was good, season 3. Even after that, he was really good at OGM Winter. Didn't lose a single game. He actually carried some of the games. And I was like, okay, like, he was good then. And he works hard, so 1 + 1, you know, hopefully it's 2, right?
Hopefully it gets to
hopefully,
2.
yeah. So that was my idea. But yeah, things were a bit hard for us in the beginning. We weren't doing as well as I had hoped. And we were actually like building up our confidence, like getting a lot better, and then the visa thing hit. Went back for a month, and then kind of had to rebuild like halfway down, and it was really hard because I wanted to be really good for the split. We wanted to be like a good team. We want to be top 3. You know, we're 7th place right now, so obviously we're doing something wrong. And I mean, things are getting better, obviously, but again, it was just I had a really high expectation. Everybody did. Their expectations were a lot higher than mine, honestly, and I was really hoping that since we both will work really hard, things will just get better. But it takes time. Honestly, it takes a lot of time. And we're just running out of time. I just really need to get good.
How do you feel about all of the other regions bringing in players to NA? Like, do you think that it's a good thing? Do you think that we should stick to more people like around here? Do you think it's like not giving enough NA challenger players like a chance, or how do you feel about that?
I think it's good. I think I want a region of good players. And I don't care if you're from whatever country. Like, you can be from Antarctica. I don't really care.
The country Antarctica, said by Xpecial.
It is a country. Yeah. It's a country and a continent.
Oh, it's both. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the
Come
smart
on.
one. Sorry.
Anyways, so is it a country?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Trolled.
So, in a parallel universe, TL loses or doesn't exist. Piglet doesn't exist and Keith doesn't exist. What AD in NA or wherever you can import Team Liquid? Steve Aaron says just like Xpecial, choose me in AD, and I'll just make it rain on anyone.
Gives you
Who
invite.
you pick?
Anybody.
Anybody, literally anybody. Doesn't from
Playing,
you're
not
importing
playing.
doesn't matter. It could be from NA, could be from
be forgiven.
Oceania.
Okay, so I mean, because it's such limited time, has to be English speaker, 100%. So because you just don't have enough time to mold a new guy.
Never again.
I mean, it's just I just realized that. I mean, obviously I knew that you need some time, but it's more time than I expected. So obviously, since we have so little time, it makes sense to go with English guy.
We just bring on Chaox at that point, right? Is that
I mean, we're
It's like, hold up.
we're looking for worlds here, okay?
Oh, snap.
I mean,
that's harsh. That's harsh.
I think
really
I think
nice
KX could be good again, but he just needs some time, and that's not time we have.
Who's your AD carry?
Honestly, I mean, they're all good. Like that.
They're all good.
Okay. That.
But
Okay.
when you say they're all good, they're actually not good.
No. Okay. So, first off, I mean, it has to be like a really good player. I mean, that's first of all. So pretty much most of the LCS guys, I mean, most, and I wouldn't say all, but I mean, they have to speak English as well. So I mean, if I had to name a few, I go like players like Forgiven, Reckless, Doublelift, Sneaky, Altec, like these 5. hoping I didn't miss anybody. I just want like solid players, mechanically
Turtle.
English.
good. Turtle, yeah, but like he's a bit weird. He's like really good, but he's kind of dumb sometimes. Like, no, it's not. It's not
In game dumb or like
like
he's just
yeah.
like.
If you watch him play, like he's gonna make some pretty big plays, some wild plays, but then he's gonna be slow and he's gonna be like, oh, I just kind of flash into their whole team. And
Oh,
just
yeah, no,
die
I
for
understand.
free. Like he does those kind of plays. I don't actually like that, but I like the fact that he's a good player.
So thank you so much for joining us today, Xpecial. Do you have any shout outs or plugins or sponsors you'd like to mention?
I mean, obviously, I'd like to thank all our sponsors, help us do what we do. And I'd like to thank you guys, Rob and Moon, for hosting this and
Senpai noticed us.
and coming to the house and just like doing that. And obviously, thanks to all the fans, all the audience members that you guys are watching from your HUC phones. And yeah, anyways, thanks guys for watching and hope you guys enjoyed it.
If you want more content just like this, be sure to check out SK Gaming on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. Other than that, till next time, guys.